In this video, I was just going to mention an alternative method you can use for referring to a cell that doesn't sort of move down the page as you've copied the formula down. So in this column, we said we wanted to work out the average height of the air, and we always did it by taking the height of the bottle and subtracting the height of the liquid each time. So our reference written here was that we take the value in cell B2, but with a dollar sign in, so that the value 2 never changes as this formula is copied down, and we subtract the value in G3, which hasn't got any dollar signs, so that when it's copied to the cell underneath, the B doesn't change and the G don't change because we're copying down column H, but the 3 becomes a 4 while the 2 stays as a 2. So this sort of static reference to a cell is there's various different ways of doing. So one thing I could do is give this cell a new name. So this is known as cell B2 because it's in column B and row 2, and that's written here. But actually, you're free to call the cell whatever you want. So, I mean, obviously, we need to be fairly sensible here. So we might call this cell Coke height. Now, I've written it without a space because it won't accept spaces. It won't accept spaces. It won't accept punctuation. So, you know, you have to be a bit careful about what you write in this box. But I'm going to call this box Coke height. So now this cell has got two names. It's cell B2, but it's also cell Coke height. If I ever want to check my cells that I've named, I can press Control and F3, and it brings up the list of the names I've created. So the only name I've got now at the moment is Coke height, and that refers to sheet 1. So far we've only been working in sheet 1, cell B2, and you can see B2 are written with dollar signs because that reference is not going to change if ever the cell is copied around to different places. So I can rewrite this formula. I might rewrite this formula to, instead of B$2 minus G3, it's now going to take the value written in the cell called Coke height, which it knows now is the name of a cell, and subtract the value in G3 from it. So this, at this point, isn't particularly useful for what we've just done. I could rename this cell wine height and change the reference in this from B16 to wine height. But that makes no great difference to the function of my spreadsheet. Where this does become useful in physics is quite often in physics we use constants. And so if I'm doing an experiment where I know the gravitational field strength is going to be a useful reference to keep using, what I might choose to do at the top of my spreadsheet is write down the number 9.81 and rename this cell little g. And if I do that, I'm now able to use little g as a reference whenever I want to in a formula. So if I want to work out the weight of something knowing its mass, I might imagine I've got some data over here, mass in kilograms. This is obviously unrelated to what we're doing at the moment. Let's just put in some random numbers, 1.5, let's say 41.5, 1.5. So I've done an experiment where I found the mass of some things and I want to find their weight in newtons. Well, of course, all I need to do is take the value in this cell and multiply it by the value of G. And now I've got a nice way of using a constant that we use regularly in physics without having to type it out again and again. So this ability to name cells different things can be quite useful for lots of things we do in physics.